When I was in about third grade, I got into an argument with another kid on the block. And as things got more and more heated, I finally reached a boiling point. Without thinking about it, I reared up my toy rifle and struck my friend across the forehead. Immediately, the terror sank in. And I thought, wait till Dad finds out about this. Now, after severe discipline and a sincere and very embarrassing apology, I eventually was cleared of all charges and accepted back into society. But I remember thinking, even as a kid, what are we supposed to do with our anger? Or maybe, are we even supposed to be angry at all? Well, to start with the second question, I think the answer is yes. We should be angry. We should be angry about the evil and injustice in our world. Jesus himself both felt and expressed that anger in different moments in his life, like at the cleansing of the temple. The problem, however, according to James 1 and verse 20, is this: the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. See, it's not wrong to be angry. The question we have to ask is, what does our anger produce? Does it help make the world right and good and beautiful as God intended? Or does it contribute further to resentment and retaliation and rage that is tearing our world apart? And the reality is that the things we often get angry about and the way that we express that anger usually causes way more harm than good. And while as adults we may not typically express our anger quite so violently as I did with my friend, we all develop and sharpen our own weapons of revenge against friends, family, coworkers, and strangers who we feel have done us wrong. And when that gets scaled out to whole tribes and nations, we see just how destructive and deadly those weapons of vengeance can be. The anger of man doesn't produce the righteousness of God. But if it is okay and even good and necessary at times to be angry, then how do we express our anger in a way that does produce the righteousness of God? And the place to start is not by spouting off with our mouths or squaring up with our hands, but down on our knees in prayer. The Apostle Paul puts it this way in Romans 12 and verse 9. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay. What should we do with our anger? Well, the solution is neither to suppress it or surrender to it, but instead the solution is to pray it, to vent our anger and frustration in the presence of the only one whose vengeance always produces righteousness, what is right, good, and just. And when we do, two things will happen. One, our silly and self-centered anger will usually melt away. And number two, our sincere and justified anger will be received and then redirected by God to produce His righteousness. And perhaps He'll show you how to then be a participant in it. So next time you feel slighted by a friend or outraged by the news or upset by some injustice, pray without ceasing. Take a deep breath and vent your anger to God and hear Him say to you, vengeance is mine, I will repay.